All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to Beyond the Veil. It has been a while. It's good to be back though. I'm hoping everyone is doing okay. If you could, let me know as you're coming in, if you can hear me and everything's running smoothly. My video hasn't been working the past several times, so I'm just going to give up on the video feed from now on and just present it this way. I have a lot of stuff to share with you via screen share, and one video clip, I believe, is all I have as far as videos today. We'll be touching on a lot of stuff, though, that we have covered over the past, I guess you can say, about 2 years now, and uncovering where we are in history, what we've been lied to about, why I believe those lies have taken place, and also kind of what we're to expect according to his word and according to the events taking place around us. So without further ado, let me get my chat box pulled up over here and see what we got going on. Okay. Hello, 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 Wesley and Matt and Miss Morgan and Watchman. It's good to see you guys. I'm hoping you guys can hear me okay. Doesn't say anybody has responded back to that yet or not, but oh well, I guess we'll find out. Anyway, let me get my screen share up here for you guys. Before I get going on this video too much, I want to make sure that what you're getting presented with today, you also have ways in which to learn more about these topics. Okay, I will say that the topics I'm presenting today, I'm going to add a lot of stuff to your backpack that you've already had kind of put together over everything altogether from the millennial reign theory that I've been talking about. But for those that are new, I want to show you where you need to go to kind of catch up on things. Okay, today our biggest topic, I guess you can kind of sum it up to, is dealing with the millennial reign, or the 1,000-year reign of Christ that was said to exist, with also a time of the Gentiles of 260 years as well, which was a time and half a time, which is 1,260 years according to Daniel and Revelation. That had to take place, with 1,000 of the full time being a time of peace. But after that 1,000 limited time, it said that Satan would be set loose from his prison, to be loose with the 10 kings of old and the beast, the false prophet, all of those for a short season, a short space, a short hour, a short time, in which he and them raise up all the kings of the earth to stir up wars with one another, which is why we've had our World War I and World War II within only the last 100 years. Approaching World War III, which I believe technically we're in, I guess you could say, the final battle, which is in Revelation chapter 20, the final battles of Gog and Magog during the short season of Satan, which I believe we are the camp of saints living during that time, surrounded by our enemies, which we are the wheat with tares spread amongst us, ready for harvest, the final harvest. Okay? All right. So here we go. All right, so here's where you need to go. Millennial Kingdom, start here, and I guess you can start with episode 1, which is, I have them in order for you here, and move on down from there to kind of catch up, okay? Because the topic we're talking about today is dealing with Nero, who I believe was the Antichrist during the tribulation period that took place during the 7 years period of 66 to 73 AD. I believe that's when, let me pause this. I believe that's when that 7-year tribulation happened, and after that time, it was given a time over to the Gentiles in which they are given a chance to repent for about 260 years, and that's why you have Constantine re-emerging back in 321 AD and changing the Sabbath, doing all those things, and leading the Gentiles astray. And then you have first the judgment to the Jews, which was Jerusalem being destroyed with the remnant left out, and then the last judgment was to the Gentiles after they didn't repent and built a whole nother temple to Jupiter, where the third temple had already been destroyed, and ultimately that was wiped out, and the Dark Age period emerged in 450 AD and lasted to exactly 1450. So that's your 1,000 years of peace. After that, you have 1492, Christopher Columbus sailing the ocean blue, discovering the new world order that we are in today, which I believe is the Christ, the Antichrist of Columbia / Diana / Lucy and the Stars. which was discovered in the New World, in which everything was made new in a bad way for the devil in his short season we've been in now. Okay, so now on to bigger crazy things. All right, let me see if the comments are still here. Yeah, the sheeps and the goats, the tares and the wheat. Okay, all right, so the first thing we're going to talk about today, this term here might be new to some of you, but this is the first thing we're going to touch on today. This is called Pseudo-Nero. Okay, the two people we're going to be talking about today is Nero, and then the one that everyone's comparing him to today, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. So we'll be talking about two people today, Donald Trump and Nero. We're going to be looking at similarities between the two. We're going to be looking at why this tracks back to 66 AD and the importance of understanding why that's a big role in all of this. And we're also going to tie all this into our Hydra we've been discussing as well. All right, so I want to say I haven't seen some of these people down here. Don't get distracted by comments. Instead, stay focused on what's presented, because I noticed a lot of people missing points in previous videos by focusing on a topic that's way off or something I've already touched on. So you really don't want to miss this. All right, so here we go. Let's move on forward. Donald Trump and Nero. Okay, in order to begin on this, I want to show you what the Bible says about this. Okay, let's first look at Revelation chapter 13. Okay, the beast out of the sea. All right, here we go. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth was the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as if it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast, the Roman beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power to the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him the mouth speaking great things and blasphemy. And the power was given unto him to continue 42 months, 3.5 years. Okay, keep that in mind. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. All right. Okay, so, let's just keep on reading here just to get to the end. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, okay, and to overcome them, like kill them. And the power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names were not found written in the book of life, the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth by the sword shall be killed by the sword. Here is patience and faith of the saints. Okay, so let's pause there. Okay, and let's go here. All right, so you know where that chapter actually ends. It talks about the number of the beast being 666. We need to keep that in mind. We also need to keep a few other things in mind while I go forward with this. This is going to be awesome. Okay. All right. The Watchman. Yeah, I've been watching your comments, and actually every one of the things you've been brought up have indeed been touched on. Okay. So just don't distract people. I'd hate to mute you, but let's keep on going here. Pseudo-Nero. Okay, after the Emperor Nero committed suicide near the villa of his freedman Phaon in June of 68, various Nero impostors appeared between autumn of 69 AD and the reign of Emperor Domitian. Most scholars set the number of Nero impostors to 2 or 3, although St. Augustine wrote of the popularity of the belief that Nero would return in his day, known as the Nero Redivivus legend. In addition to the 3 documented pseudo-Neros, Suetonius refers to imperial edicts forged in the dead Nero's name that encouraged his followers and promised his imminent return to avenge himself of his enemies. Now, this is where things get crazy, okay? I want you to see this. All right. You can't see the screen share. I'll show you what I'm going to be reading to you, okay? I found this book at Barnes and Nobles for $10. Okay, I'll show you. World of the Unexplained. And I'm going to show you this because I want you to get this book if you get a chance. World of the Unexplained Secret Conspiracies. Okay. All right. This book right here is the one I want you to purchase if you get a chance. It's only like $10. See, $10 right here. Okay. This is the book I'm going to be reading to you out of right now. And this will truly open your eyes to some things as it did me. All right. I can't wait for this. This is going to be awesome. All right. So this is the book I'll be reading from, The World of the Unexplained Secret Conspiracies by Charles Phillips. Okay. Available at Barnes and Nobles. This is where this is coming from as you hear it. Okay. So when you buy this book, the very first chapter is called Stranger History. And chapter 1, title 1 is called The Disputed Death of Nero. I was intrigued from the beginning. I was like, wow, okay. I was like, let's see what this has to say here. But before I did that, I wanted to look at some of the other topics in here, okay? Some of the other topics in this book that some of you guys will like is flat Earth. It's called Earth is Flat in chapter 2, topic 9, okay? There's also stuff involving Tartaria. Chapter 1, topic 8 is the Lost Empire of Tartaria, which we've talked about a lot. It's got everything you can imagine in this book in little snippets that I enjoy reading, that I encourage you to read as well. But nothing as intriguing as this because it was incredible. Okay, here we go. Page 1, chapter 1, topic 1, the disputed death of Nero. All right. Oh, snap. The official history is that Roman Emperor Nero took his own life on June 9th in 68 after being declared a public enemy and sentenced to death in his absence by the Roman Senate. But some claimed that he staged his suicide and was gathering an army in the emperor's eastern provinces from where he would return to punish his enemies. One clue as to why the conspiracy theory was born lies in the claim that the people of Rome were supposedly angry about Nero's suicide. Now, I want you to hear this, okay? Let's look at this imposter mystery here, and I'm going to read this with you because it is crazy. The imposter mystery. Over the next few years, 3 imposters sprang up claiming to be Nero. This was after his death, okay? Now, I want you to remember the 3 heads of Hydra. You cut one off, 2 more come back. Okay, cut one head off, 2 more come back. That's the whole thing with Hydra, okay? So, I'm going to reread this part to you. Over the next few years, 3 imposters sprang up claiming to be Nero and thereby the rightful emperor. Historians, they literally made them emperor during that little bit of time for a temporary period of believing it. Historians call them pseudo-Neros. The first emerged in the fall of 68 CE. This was right after Nero supposedly died. In Roman's province of Greece, he looked like Nero and could play the lyre skillfully, just like the late emperor. Based on the island of Kythnos, he operated as a pirate until he was killed by soldiers serving the new emperor, Galba. But check this out. Here comes the second head wound. The second head of Hydra, okay? The second arose more than 10 years later in 79 and 81 in the reign of Emperor Titus. Like this predecessor, this man could play the lyre and looked just like Nero. He gathered a large army and based himself in Parthia, where he won the backing of the local king, Artabanus III. But the bubble burst. Artabanus lost faith in him, and the second Nero imposter was put to death. But check this out, guys. 20 years later, okay? It started out the same year, then it was 10 years, now it's 20 years later, okay? During 96, listen to this, okay? 96, a third imposter came to light, a full 20 years after Nero's supposed death in the reign of Domitian. Now, what it means to wonder after a beast is means you're like, wow, let's make him a king. Let's make him an emperor. Wow, he's great. Realize that's exactly what I'm telling you. Emperor Emperor Nero made himself come back to life somehow and tricked everybody. They believed it was him so much. In fact, they gave him power for a temporary time. They're like, nope, it's not him. Literally, another one comes back playing the liar, looks just like him. They're like, wait, what's happening? They kill him again. Now listen to this. The third impostor came to light a full 20 years after Nero's supposed death in the reign of Domitian. But again, the new Nero lost his appeal and the revolt against Rome came to nothing. So guess what happened after that? Well, you have the start and the rise of that temple that they built to Jupiter during that short time, and then Constantine coming up right after that. All right. Now, here we go. This is going to be crazy. Now, the idea that Nero was alive and would return did not die with these three imposters. Rather, it became a legend. Believer says he lived on, did not grow old, and was biding his time, all while gathering backers and soldiers waiting to return to Rome. The North African Christian theologian and philosopher Augustine and Hippo celebrated the Christian tradition as St. Augustine wrote about it in his 5th century work called The City of God, talking about Rome. Okay. Now here's this, because it's about to get real nuts now. Let me show you something else. Okay. So now that I read through some of this book and I hopefully intrigued you enough to go check this out, let's go on to the next thing, because this is where things get nuts. All right. Now we can read this together. Belief in Nero's survival. Now I wanted to show you once again in this, it says this. Okay. The 5th angel, wait, it's the 6th. Yeah, here we go. Wait. Yes, the 6th. Okay. Now realize during this tribulational period, all right, the first thing you have is a man making himself a god and all this stuff, and the people worshiping after him. He dies, comes back to life. They worship after him. And then down here, you have this happen, the 6th trumpet. And the 6th angel sounded, and he heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar of God, saying, the 6th seal had been which had the trumpet, loosed the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year to slay a third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000 and 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the visions, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, and all of these things. Okay. Now what this is during this time, you have the Antichrist pop up. He's causing all this tribulational stuff to happen. By the 6th trumpet, he has these 4 angels that are loose to wipe out the third. Oh, let me breathe. This is exciting, but it's freaking wild at the same time. To take a third of the people away, to kill them. All right. Now I want to show you something. I've been doing some digging. Watch this, folks. Okay. Watch this. Okay. Do you remember I told you what happened after Nero faked his death? Well, he had Vespasian and the other 3 gather the 4 legion, which means Titan, 4 legion Titan armies that crossed over the Dryad. What I've been trying to tell you guys, we used to be that great body of water, that great river that separated California from the rest of the United States. That was real, and it dried up, which left Salt Lake City, Utah, and everything else there. Okay. That was the great river Euphrates, and it was huge. Okay. That was there, and it indeed dried up. That's why the stories of the giants and all of things existed right there in that area as well. But that's also where those 4 legion Titans crossed over from Washington, D.C., Rome, over to Jerusalem in that area over there in California. They were able to cross over the body of water, invade, and what happened? Well, I try to tell you, 3.5 years in Nero's reign, Jerusalem was destroyed ultimately. And one part of them was taken into captivity and relocated, exactly as the word says. Okay. So on top of this, you have all my other 1,000-year reign I've covered up. I mean, I've uncovered for you guys, in which it noted in history by eyewitnesses, in which there was a point during that time where the 2 witnesses were brought back to life in the streets. There was a great shout up, and people literally went missing. There was a call from the heavens saying, come up out of here, literally in that area. I showed you all this eyewitness accounts during that stuff I was telling you to follow, all of that. Okay. All of that existed during this time. But during the same time, you also have this Nero, who also, by the way, if you didn't know, Nero's gematria for his name is indeed 666. I'll show you. Okay. The return of Nero may have inspired the author of the book of Revelation when he wrote about the eschatological, I hate that word, opponent called the beast, which is mortally wounded and then miraculously heals. The number of the beast, 666 or 616, depending on the manuscripts, have been identified to some as numerical value of the letters in Nero's name. So the number of Nero is literally 666 and 616. It goes both ways. All right. He also indeed hated women during that time intensely. Okay. But more than that, he matched up every other way too. He died, made himself reappear the exact same way multiple times. Okay. Nero was long thought to be the Antichrist. And yet here we are today, still swinging that. But I want you to see this. This is exactly what I've been discussing with you guys. Okay. And this just adds to it with the Nero thing. But let's go on even further. Okay, let's look at Nero Redivivus. I hate trying to pronounce these words. I'm doing my best, so just bear with me. All right, Nero Red, okay, legend, was a belief popular during the last part of the 1st century that the Roman Emperor Nero would return after his death in 68. He suffered a head wound, came back. The legend was a common belief as late as the 5th century. The belief was either the result or cause of several imposters who posed to be Nero leading rebellions. Okay, at least 3 Nero imposters emerged leading rebellions. The first who sang and played the satire or the lyre and whose faces were similar to the dead emperor of Nero. Okay, now we just talked about this story in depth. I don't have to get into all this in more depth. Just go back and listen to the beginning of the video. That was a wild story about Nero coming back to life, supposedly looking the exact same, doing the same things 3 different times after his supposed death, exactly as the word said during that time, with Jerusalem literally being destroyed. The 3rd temple was literally destroyed. They rebuilt a 4th temple to Jupiter there that was still destroyed, hence the rubble that is found in places still today. Okay, now, here we go. Let's move on even further. I can go on past this now because I have to bring this into what I'm saying now. All right. Now, here's this, okay? I don't know why in the world everyone's not realizing. Before Revelation 20, you have Revelation 19 and 18, which is the final destruction of Mystery Babylon the Great. That went away. It was destroyed. It cut off. But then it ultimately comes back for a short surprise season, okay? Mystery Babylon the Great is where we are now, the final great. The short horn that popped up after the 10 horns. Don't you remember what I was reading to you? See, when Nero's involved, as I was reading earlier, okay? Oh, man, that was the other scripture I had pulled up from Revelation 13. When Nero's up there, it's 10 horns. But the Mystery Babylon beast is 10 horns plus a short horn, okay? We're the short horn, the Mystery Babylon that's cut short at the very end, that pops up after the 1,000-year reign, okay? Which Revelation talks about, okay? There's a 1,000-year reign of peace, and then Satan set back loose. He changes times. He changes dates. He causes the great mud flood, okay, which is found everywhere. And he's doing all this stuff now, stirring up the nations to the final battles of World War I, II, and III. We're Mystery Babylon the Great at the very, very end, the one that popped back up. Okay, that's what makes it a mystery. Oh, it's back. Well, how did this get here? All right. Now, move on even further. So now I'm going to show you why Apollo is back. All right. Let me show you this. Hold on one sec. I want to start on the right one because there's this thing you've got to see. I want to catch some of you guys before you drop off of here early. Just hold on one sec. We're going to go through these, but I had one I really wanted to jump on first. Anyway, we'll go through them real quick. We're not going through everything, but first of all, I want to show you all these articles I've gone through in just the past 5 years of comparisons between Donald Trump and Nero. Okay, the 6 startling similarities between Donald Trump and Roman Emperor Nero. Okay, first of all, it's a known fact that Nero loved to play his lyre, okay, which was his harp and his, okay, while Rome was burning in the background. Which is why this here is important. Trump shares head-scratching meme that even he doesn't understand. Who knows what this means? Okay, Donald Trump, one of the richest people in the world outside of Elon Musk, one of the most powerful people in the world, who's literally involved in every type of secret thing you can imagine, doesn't know the story of Nero. Come on now, watch this. Some said Trump was unintentionally comparing himself to the mad Emperor Nero, who, so the saying goes, fiddled while Rome burned. President Donald Trump on Sunday shared a head-scratching meme showing him playing a violin with the caption, "My next piece is called Nothing Can Stop What's Coming." I'll show you. This is him playing the violin while it's burning, okay? Who knows what this means, but it sounds good to me. Well, this is all about a whole thing dealing with Nero and what he did, okay, which is exactly what's taking place today. Okay, but let's look even further than that. Let's go here. Former President Donald Trump requires no introduction. Trump definitely left his mark on contemporary history. On the other hand, Roman Emperor Nero requires a bit of introduction, unless you're a Roman history geek like me. One of the lasting myths about Nero is that he set Rome on fire. Like, you remember, America is burning down right now. Literally, North Carolina has 111 fires. South Carolina, I forgot, I think it was like 30 some fires right now. United States is burning down right now, just like during Nero's reign. Okay. One of the latest myths about Nero is that he set Rome on fire and played the lyre while watching his capital burn down. There is an expression that Nero fiddled while Rome burned. The meaning of the expression is that Nero was an effectual leader in times of crisis. Who was the Roman Emperor Nero? Emperor Nero reigned almost 2,000 years ago from 54 to 68 AD. He was the fifth Roman emperor. He ruled the enormous Roman Empire. As an emperor, he held absolute power. Nero came to power in 54 AD after his mother, Agrippa the Younger, fed her husband, Emperor Claudius, poisoned mushrooms. Claudius died and Nero became the emperor. Throughout his reign, Nero spent the state budget lavishly on himself. In 64, 2/3 of Rome burned down. And see that word? 2/3. Remember the scripture? 2/3 burned down, and in the 9-day-long fire, Nero used the cleared land to build himself an enormous palace. He blamed Christians for the fire and started the first persecution against Christians. When? Well, in 66. This was also around the same time when you have the eyewitness accounts of people, holy people going missing, the temple lighting up in the middle of the night, and the loud shout from the heavens, all happening at the same time during this time when Jerusalem and the temple was being burned down. And remember, Nero, 666, would be given power to overcome the Christians, to kill them, and then another part would be put in exile, exactly as the word said. In 66 AD, a full-scale revolt occurred in Judea. Nero sent elderly Roman general Vespasian to crush the rebellion. High taxes and erratic behavior led to a series of revolts. In 68 AD, Emperor Nero committed suicide. His death led to the Roman Civil War, known as the Year of the Four Emperors, 68 through 69, which ended with the rise of Vespasian, which I was trying to tell you guys too. And remember what also happened in this time, you have Nero re-emerging. Hope you're putting that together. All right. Now, we're going to start looking at some similarities according to this page. All right. The Roman Emperor Nero was infamous for his persecution and political opponents. He also blamed minorities, especially Christians, for the Great Fire of Rome. Trump was accused of undermining democratic norms and institutions. He regularly discredited the media. Trump used his positions as president to bully and intimidate opponents and journalists. Before anyone asks, no, I'm not a left or right wing party. I don't believe in any wing of the dragon. Okay, I don't support any political party. They are two wings of the same exact serpent, flying serpent. Okay, all right, now. Trump also tried to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. Of course, Emperor Nero's level of authoritarian rule was considerably higher than those of Trump. After all, Nero ruled an empire, Trump a democratic country. Okay? It's wild how much that looks like Nero, but it also looks like the Statue of Liberty, right? Please put it together in your head. Okay. Both Nero and Trump were notorious for lavishly displaying their wealth. Nero built himself an enormous statue near the palace, where his successor Vespasian would later build the Colosseum. The statue was gilded and visible over the city. The height of the statue was 36 meters. But the emperor didn't stop there. After the Great Fire of Rome, Nero built himself an enormous palace, a true symbol of decadence. The palace had a huge inner lake and rotating dining room. The name of the palace was the Golden House. You see how he's building those things, and like Trump's towers. I hope you're getting that all these things are exactly like as Trump. And remember, okay, those other, as they called them, Nero imposters that were, they looked exactly like Nero, and they did the exact same thing as Nero's. They weren't different; they were the same. Okay, they did the same things. All right. So, someone says, I don't think they realize how bad Nero was. Just wait till you see how bad Donald Trump really is. You really need to look into Noahide if you're really thinking that Donald Trump is not your modern day Nero. Okay. Most people think he's a Christian and haven't even put together the fact that he's Judaic. Okay. But anyway, let's just keep on going. I'm not going to dig on this one too much. Anyway, all right, let's keep on going. I'm sorry, I was just looking at something that looked kind of wild to me. All right, so here we go again. Let me move forward. Ask a classist. Is Donald Trump more of a Caligula or a Nero? Okay, so this is another site or whatever comparing him to this and Nero going down. That was the whole point. I was just showing you multiple pages doing the same thing, comparing him to Nero. Here's another one. This was in 2022. Donald Trump, the American Nero opinion. Okay, so here's another article in which it says about the same type of stuff, doing the same things, picking between the two. But then there's this. Is Trump the new Nero? This was in 2019. Looking back at history, I don't want to read through all this stuff because it's really about all the same type comparisons over and over and over again. Because what I'm going to show you is even crazier. All right, now let's look at this. Here's the Atlantic. Trump is Nero while Washington burns. This is recently, March 8, 2025. And see, everybody thinks that the media is controlled and this and that, and like they're putting things out there for whatever. Well, this is all the same thing. Nero, 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 Trump, Trump, Trump. All right, let's look even further though. Okay. Hopefully, yes. All right, this is the mind blower. All right. Guys, if you haven't enjoyed this live so far and it hasn't clicked together yet, well, here comes the final piece of the puzzle that should blow your mind. Okay? All right, so how do I want to present this to you? Okay, yeah, let me do scripture first, okay? Actually, just go to Revelation 9. Revelation 9. All right, Geneva, whatever. I'm not reading an IV, but it really doesn't matter with this part because it's all the same thing. I can just flip through here. Don't even see all the... There we go. Let's do this one. All right, guys. Are you ready for this? I hope you're ready for this. I hope you're ready for this. Okay. All right. Revelation 9:11. Thank you so much for the memberships, Valentine. So here we go. Revelation chapter 9, verse 11. They had a king over them, the angel of the abyss, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon and in Greek is Apollyon. That is the destroyer. Okay? Guess what the word perdition means? Perdition also means destruction. Destruction. Remember I told you about the apostates, certain apostles going apostate and certain one also going into perdition, becoming a destroyer. You remember what I've been telling you about the importance of James and John wanting to call down fire on the Gentiles, literally wants to watch them burn. And remember, Yeshua turned to them and said, word for word, you don't know what spirit you speak of, and takes their name James and John, and he don't call them James and John anymore when they're together. He calls them sons of thunder. But if you know the Greek culture like I do, you know that that's referring to, that's your whole Thor, Odin, and Nordic, but also Greek, you have Zeus and Hercules. Okay? And you have Zeus and Apollo. And you have Zeus and Hermes. Hermes, Apollo, and Hercules. All three of those are actually mentioned in your Bible. Did you know that? Strange. But anyway, this one specifically is called Apollyon, the destroyer. All right? During this time. Well, check this out. Guess what they called Nero? And a song in which they praised and sang to him. Hope you're ready for this. When awarded the victory, as he always was, Nero liked to make the proclamation himself. On his return from Greece, Nero made a triumphal entry into Naples, the scene of his first success, and then into Rome. He was welcomed enthusiastically by the people. The crowds shouted. You ready for this? They shouted to their king, their emperor of the beast system. Hail Olympic victor, hail Pythian victor, Augustus, hail to Nero, our Hercules, hail to Nero, our Apollo, the only winner of all the games, the only one from the beginning of time. In the beginning he was, listen to that blasphemy, Augustus, O divine voice, blessed are they that hear you. They called Nero not just Apollo, but also Hercules, which is the son of Zeus, son of thunder. I hope you're seeing it. There's that. All right. Put it together in your head. James and John were called the sons of thunder for wanting to call down fire on the Gentiles. Now we have Donald, which means ruler of the world, John Trump, and James, Donald, had his name changed to David Vance, both wanting to call down fire on Syria for trying to mess with Israel, literally. And Donald Trump worships Apollo from top to bottom of his tower. Towers, all of them. Please put that together yourself. And so you know what's crazy about this is, did you know this? Now, this should show you, okay? Nero would always have a click or a clack, okay, following him. You know how like you have your groupies, like your musicians have their groupies and they're like praising them, worshiping them, loving them. They're like defend them to their death. They'll follow them around everywhere. Well, Emperor Nero had them. And they would follow him around. And what it would do is, if everyone's down and persecuted and crying and having a hard time, the ones that follow him would be the one clapping and applauding and doing those things in the background so that people think that it's okay. For example, watch this. On the first day in office, President Trump's speech at CIA headquarters went over bigly. Applause and friendly laughter rippled through the room as he spoke to a crowd of 400. Many observers were surprised at the warmth of his reception, given the Central Intelligence Agency staff are supposed to be nonpartisan. How did he pull it off? The answer lies in a centuries-old showmanship technique that has been used by entertainers and politicians since the Roman Empire. President Trump brought along a clack. That is a group of hired cheerleaders whose job is to spark enthusiasm and get applauses rolling, a sort of living, breathing laugh track. Here's how it works. In a televised version of the CIA speech, the camera remains entrained on the president's hand and shoulders. Head and shoulders. There are no audience reaction shots, so it appears to home viewers that the entire room is laughing and cheering. But according to eyewitnesses, throughout the speech, the CIA leaders in the front of the room saw impassively applauding politely at the end. Shortly after the speech was broadcast, a report began to circulate that the cheering everyone heard on TV was generated not by the CIA staffers, but by 40 carefully planted members of Trump's own entourage, his claque. One of the earliest and most striking examples of the use of a claque come from the Roman Emperor Nero, an amateur singer who famously accompanied himself on the lyre, which is where the trope fiddling while Rome burns comes from. In her 1962 essay, Nero Qualius Artifacts, the classicist Mary Frances Giles describes the emperor's performance career. An insecure, attention-craving, possibly not very good performer, Nero insisted that possibly not very good performer. Yet Nero loved to sing and loved to play his lyre, yet he wasn't even good. Nero insisted on entering singing competitions to dismay the other competitors, and to the alarm of judges, naturally, Nero won, even though he sucked. but why does that matter? Well, don't you know Donald Trump has made his own TV shows called The Apprentice? He's done all those things, right? But he also, decode this.
The theme from Green Acres, please welcome Donald Trump and Will and Grace's Karen Walker.
Remember, okay, Green Acres, the place to be, is the green pastures in which the cows lay down and rest their heads in the promised land, okay? Remember, I've been trying to tell you that America is the promised land, but not specifically all of America. Specifically, California is the promised land, the land of milk and honey. Happy cows come from California. But anyway, all of that's taking place here, and they put it in your face all the time. Well, here's Donald Trump talking about Green Acres being the place to be as he has his beautiful bride dressed in emerald green beside him singing. And he sucks at singing, but boy, does he think he can sing.
Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for me. Land spreading out.
Land spreading.
So far and wide.
Land spreading out so far and wide. Have you not noticed he's trying to get Canada? We've already took over the Gulf of Mexico, made it a Gulf of America. He's begging them for Greenland. He's expanding the Greenland.
Keep Manhattan. Just give me that countryside.
Just give me that countryside, that green land. Now, the woman, the emerald green Lucifer the light bearer statue, okay? The woman on the shores of Babylon in New York, she'd rather be in New York. He'd rather be in California with the cow pastures.
Just adorable.
By the way, that's not a pitchfork, it's a Vajra.
Darling, I love you. Give me Park Avenue.
This is crazy.
The George.
Such doors.
Fresh air.
Trump Tower.
Trump Tower.
You are my wife.
Goodbye, City Line.
Green Acres, we are there.
Green Acres, we are there. All the emerald greenness. Anyway, thought that was pretty interesting. I found that today. So yeah, there's that. So many ways in which he compares to Nero, but the main thing I want you to understand is this. Okay? Don't miss it. According to the things we've unpacked today, when Nero supposedly killed himself, he didn't really die. He stuck around. And someone came that looked almost like him and was doing the exact same things. And then he died. And then somebody came back, looked just like him, doing the same things. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I need to present to you the truth behind Hollywood's cloning program. It's the same thing. It's the revealed spirit. It's the passing on of the eye of Horus, the eye of Ra, the vril society that I've been trying to tell you guys about. The children of Hydra. The Hydra parasite club of the United States of Babylon the Great. Sweet. All right. So there's all that. So I want to make sure you're getting this, okay? The reason why this is important is I've been telling you, who else supposedly killed himself? And we have a project paperclip of Germans to America. Hitler. Hitler did the exact same thing, went out the exact same way as Nero. Okay? And then Project Paperclip, where we pop up over here in America. Okay? But then you also need to know, all right, that who was born right after the death of Hitler? Donald Trump was born 1 year after Hitler's death. Please put that together in your head, because it was exactly as everything I've been trying to tell you about. All right. Donald Trump is also, his family is Project Paperclipped over from Germany. Literally. Just like everybody else. Okay. Now, Hitler started off being praised and applauded. Could it be that he put 40 of his own people in the crowd to stage his applauses and everything, so he was able to win power from the people? And then once he got the power from the people, he rounded them up into 15-minute smart city, freedom cities, concentration camps, and then he expressed his true colors. All right. All right. All right. So put all that together in your head, because that's what I got for you. Okay. And yes, there's lots of scriptures to go with all of that and everything else. But I think I covered enough of this to you guys to get the picture, along with the thousands of other things we've unpacked on this subject before that I didn't even bring up today. Okay. Because there's a whole lot more that I've unpacked about the 1,000-year pre and after to unpack on top of all of this stuff here. Okay. Now, I do plan on going live here in the next couple of days. It's just been very hard. I've been trying to tell people what it's like to tear down and set up a camper and to move it along with the truck, only making like 2 or 3 hour treks at a time without breaking down because of my just mess going on with it. I've been trying to do my live streams the best I can, and at the same time, we have a 11-month turning 12-month-old that has gone absolutely nuts in this tiny little camper, so it's hard to do anything. If I have a computer in my lap, she snatches, flops, and flips, and pokes and pops. Okay, been doing the best I can. I'm going to do my best to have another live stream set up for you, because there's a lot of other stuff I have to present to you. I just haven't found time to get it together yet. So if you could just be praying for that little bit of maybe weight to lift off back there, so I can have more focus and stuff, that'd be awesome. But until then, I'm going to keep giving it everything I got. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you got a lot out of it. I'm going to keep it short and sweet today, less than an hour. Okay. Make sure you restart it and get the full gist of what I've tried my best to open your eyes to today. Okay. I will say this as you're exiting: if you would like to support this channel and to keep it afloat in any sort of way, and you're able to, I did provide my Cash App and PayPal down below. If you would like to help that cause, that's available as well. Other than that, I will see you on the next one. Be on the lookout for a post on the date and time. Love you guys, and I'll see you then. Good night and or day, wherever you are, from beyond the veil.